Hi, this is Jan from Sankt Urban. Today we're talking to Niklas Wandt and Thomas Lumley. Niklas and Thomas are currently on tour and already had various concerts in Germany, Belgium and Luxembourg. Yeah. Hi guys.
Hey!
How's it going?
Hey.
You right?
According to your websites, both of you began playing music at a very young age, and both of you got into jazz music at about the same age. Thomas at the age of 12 and Niklas at the age of 13. But both websites are somewhat vague as to your humble beginnings. Are there skeletons in the closet, guys? What were your first musical influences back then when you started interesting yourself for music?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, guiltily, I'd like to say something. Probably my first single I ever bought was Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I haven't looked back since then. What a quality record. Don't know.
It was, with me, it was, I think my first single CD was Culture Beat.
Culture
something,
Beat?
Yeah, like back in 95 or something. But also, maybe my first inspiration for drumming was Charlie Watts, I think, of the Rolling Stones, yeah.
Yeah.
Because my dad was a big Stones fan, and I don't know, we didn't have that many Stones records, but he had like those picture books, and I loved just how the guy was sitting behind the drum set, like with a cigarette in his mouth and totally bored. And it was really cool, somewhat. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy and a couple of other things, and then mainly music on the radio, I guess, like Sting and Sade and Suzanne Vega, and I don't know what else, like.
David Hasselhoff?
Maybe, yeah.
He's an influence on everybody.
Of course, yeah. He brought down the Berlin Wall.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people play instruments, but not everyone plays gigs and makes tours. When did you decide to take your music this step further, and when did you make your first tour?
Well, my first tour, it depends what you call a tour as well.
Well, let's just say your first concert.
First concert? Wow. Well, probably my first real form of performing was when I signed up for they have these things in Wales called the Eisteddfod, which is like a cultural competition. And I remember playing clarinet when I was about 10 years old, something like that, in this big festival. And there was a bit of a strange confusion when I got through to the finals, which was quite impressive, like for the whole of Wales. So I was quite excited. And then there was some weird conspiracy theory, I'm pretty sure, because the end thing was just, I don't know, nothing really came of it, and we didn't hear anything back from the judges. So I guess that was my real sort of sense of first performing to a big audience. But yeah.
Okay, and you, Niklas?
That was,
Good question. I think my first playing in front of other people was basically at those class recitals in with my drum classes when I was, I don't know, started at 6 or 7. Probably that was the first time that I ever played in front of people. I was terribly nervous. And then I think the first one in front of more people than that was at my aunt's 40th birthday in 2003. I think I played with a cover band made up by a couple of teacher friends of hers.
Wow.
that was really the latest stuff. I did a sort of competition like that, like Jugend musiziert, like youth making music, something like that.
Okay.
The official thing. I actually did improv things on that.
Really? Yeah.
Which
was
back in
That's pretty cool.
2005, something like that. Yeah, we just got to the state, like to the federal state competition, right? Not to the complete one. But yeah, those were the first ones. Yeah.
Nice.
Niklas, on your website you state that you feel strong ties to modern creative jazz and American free jazz drumming, as well as to more sonically oriented free improvisation percussion styles. You also refer to the music of Miles Davis, Coltrane, Charles Mingus, etc. And later you started listening to punk, hardcore and rap music. Thomas, on your website you write that you are influenced by jazz, contemporary improvised music, Balkan folk music, Hindustani classical music, Afro-Cuban music and do-it-yourself avant-garde electronica. So both of you have a very wide range of musical interests. But who would you say are your strongest influences?
That is a difficult question.
Very hard.
Yeah, it's time for difficult questions, guys.
Apparently it is, yeah.
I don't know, if I was going to pick somebody, and I know it's probably somebody that all saxophone players pick, it's got to be Coltrane. There's one of them. Later Coltrane especially. Because I remember when I was like 15 or something, I had Love Supreme live in Antibes. That record, and I couldn't understand it for like a couple of years. I was just like what is this music? I want to be able to play that. But I don't know about, like, he's a cliche, you know, that's like every saxophone player probably says Coltrane.
Yeah, but every saxophone player gets his own thing out of there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like he himself unites such a broad range of.
Yeah.
I mean, Coltrane is not Coltrane in that sense, right? Of course it always is somehow, but you can refer to, as you said, like to the later phase, for example, or there will be people who will stop at giant steps, maybe. Or something.
That's true.
There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
When and where did you actually meet, you two, for the first time?
Oh, Cologne, no, it was.
Yes. We organized a guitar player friend of ours. He organized, or let's say we both organized the concert because we wanted to. And we were going back sometime, like 2008 or something, and then had just renewed our contact and wanted to play some improvised music together. And then he just met. Yeah, he was currently studying in Rotterdam. He was just on a very short stint there, I guess.
I think he was working out whether he wanted to stay there, something like that.
Yeah.
He even stayed in my house a couple of times.
Yeah. That's the thing, and that's where the other guy, where he met him, and where he first got the idea that he would fit the program nicely. Yeah, the concert was all right. I think it was like, for me, that was my very first start in like this sort of improvised music, because all the time before I had sort of played it with guys who are more rock players maybe, or more like electronic noise people. Had done like a lot of things there. That was like my start into that, but I had always wanted to go in the more acoustic, sort of classical European style free improvisation, something like that.
Yeah.
And the gig ended up costing me €100 basically.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Because not even more.
Wow.
No. We had the 100 covered, but your ticket was left over, right?
That's it. Yeah.
So the thing was that the promoter actually said, when we were just there, we hadn't talked about this before. He said, we're doing this downstairs because it's too loud upstairs, and you have to pay the sound guy, who was €100. Yeah, we were able to get that money from people coming, but your ticket was supposed to be covered. That was 60, and that was left over. Yeah. Quite a weird experience, but yeah, that was the first time. Also, first time you stayed at our house right here, which has been a couple of times. Since then,
I had a great time with that gig. It's good. I think that was the first time I'd come to Germany as well. Actually.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Just being thrown in there.
Yeah, and then we did a tour in 2012.
Yeah.
Right about this time of the year.
That's pretty successful.
Yeah, it was alright.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a good thing getting together with the two other guys.
Mm-hmm.
That quartet, which is called Blemishes. Yeah, that was the time we did that. Yeah.
Well, Niklas, you also have strong rap ambitions, and a lot of people...
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Thomas, you worked with a Rotterdam-based hip-hop band. And both of you, I checked your websites, you have a lot of other projects too. Like, for example, the band Blemishes with Nicola Hayen on guitar and Konstantin Herzog on double bass.
Yeah, that's the
How do you manage to keep track of all your projects?
Well, I'm cutting down. I've cut down on a lot of projects actually. Especially, recently, talking about that Rotterdam-based hip-hop band, I just recently departed from them. Just because I now live in London, and it does get difficult, especially kind of, international touring is not cheap, and, it's not you have to find the time for it, basically, and that gets difficult. Other projects I've had to leave behind as well. I had a lot of projects in Leeds in the north of England, and I just had to, put them on hold. I mean, those guys are not going anywhere. No, seriously, it's like that. They're not going anywhere. If we want to fire them up again, get a tour going, small tour or some recording again, we'll just a couple of phone calls and we'll get it done. That's kind of anyway. It's kind of, they're dormant right now, but.
So Blemishes, one can say, is at the moment your main project.
It's not. I don't know. There's been a record coming out, right? But the thing is, that was last year in February, and after that, we've just come together, congregated for one more gig.
Yeah.
And then next Tuesday we'll have another one, but that's really a rarity, and I don't think that in the future it will really yield much more because you're in London, right?
Yeah,
you're
that's the tough.
Busy.
Yeah.
And the rest of us guys get together a lot more because we're all living around here, right? Which makes things a lot easier. But in that specific form, I think
Yeah, managing them all is difficult, and it takes longer than you always think as well, isn't it? It's always like, oh, we'll arrange it for then, but then, things come up.
So Blemishes was funded a couple of years ago, and you released the LP Libido?
Yeah, right now, yes, just the week before last, yes.
On the German independent label Anna Ott.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Your tracks are a result of improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a certain element of composition in them? Do you work like, let us say, traditional bands? You know what I mean? People that meet once a week and play, I don't know, Pink Floyd or something. Do you practice your songs together, or do you create something completely new during your recording sessions?
Well, we don't practice tunes.
Well,
like
no.
that.
We play, of course, and we try playing. Sometimes we can get together. We play in the rehearsal room as well, but it's just more the playing. Maybe consciously working on certain elements or a certain bend in the playing or something.
Yeah, some
general,
diversity.
Of course, it is in the end a composition in the sense of, while you improvise, you compose in the sense of you put together things, right?
Totally.
And always, of course, you have a certain recurrence on certain themes in your personal, I don't know, musical personality or something. It's inevitable, so it's never really creating from absolute scratch.
No.
In the dramaturgy or something like that, of course it is, right? But still.
Yeah, I mean, the individual personalities come together and are expressed together. I mean, that's like you said, that's the only part of composition really. It's the personnel, their sort of personal approach, their sort of sounds that they bring, and also like interaction as well. You know, like whether there's a bit of conflict between people, whether there's like perfect communication. That can also lead to diversity within the music. But it's not composed as such like that. I wouldn't like. Actually, it's quite the opposite. That's how I would see it anyway. It's not. Yeah, there's no pre-planned scores or written anything, or even really that talked about. Actually, we don't really discuss that before we record.
No, but in the sense of a discussion, maybe even that happens on musical terms instead of dialogue.
Yeah.
In the sense of, maybe we'll start together, maybe one of us will start alone, and this is a proposition in the sense, right? This is a proposition for the other person to think, okay, I might add this and that to that. I might completely contrast that. I might burst into that or something, whatever.
Yeah.
So in the sense of course, it is sort of pre-language gestures involved in there, maybe.
Yeah. It also comes from our experience touring together as well.
Yeah,
that's like also like the more we play together as well, the more that builds changes as well. That relationship, those relationships change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a nice thing doing, especially that duo together. Because I don't know, it somehow is always very compatible in a way. So yeah, I mean, I think like the general layout of both of our, I don't know, let's say it's just very compatible in the sense of there seems to be some kind of
common denominator or something.
Yeah, something like that. We seem to have a way of getting along nicely. Yeah.
Talking of improvisation, Thomas, you graduated at the Leeds College of Music and recently studied for Master of Music in Rotterdam.
That's right.
This was funded by the Arts Council of Wales Advanced Study Award Program, specializing in research on the use of low-tech electronics within freely improvised music and its implication practically and academically. It's what I found on the website. I didn't make that up. This sounds really interesting, but could you just tell us in a nutshell, what is this all about? Because I was like, okay, that sounds interesting, but what is that?
Well, it's taking sounds. What I did was taking sounds from circuit bent toys, basically, like electronic kids toys, like Speak and Spells and this kind of thing, and trying to copy them acoustically on the saxophone, and using that sound palette within a free improv kind of setting. That's in a nutshell what it is. It sounds more complicated on my website. I should have cut that down, actually.
No, it's always
pretentious writing.
No, it really adds to the academic value.
Yeah, I mean, But I did look at it in terms of like from every angle, you know, like how it works, like sound palette. You know, if you're going to improve your sound palette, I mean, like we're saying, like that's being compatible with Niklas as a player. He I don't know, he uses a lot of different sort of bits and bobs to get all sorts of different sounds, you know. And like the saxophone as an instrument, I mean, it's been explored pretty thoroughly, but I just wanted to take a slightly different angle. I had an interest in electronics, sort of circuit bent electronics, because they're quite an analog sound. So I took that, put it onto the saxophone. Whether it's improved my playing, I don't know. I'm yet to be seen. It's probably a long haul thing. We don't know. Yeah.
Do you have the support of your family and friends, or was there also some criticism? Like, for example, music is not a proper job, or do something proper, or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think my family were very supportive always. They've always been very good with my music. I'm very lucky, actually. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. I mean, well, in England anyway, there's this, especially when I used to live in the north of England, there's like an attitude up there of like, music, what's your real job? You get a real job. And so it doesn't really matter what music you play anyway, just because you know, it's seen as a bit of a luxury kind of form of lifestyle in a way, but
It is.
I can assure you it's definitely not.
Well, it is on a general basis. It is.
Yeah.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, monetarily it's not.
No, of course.
Unless
but
you're
more in a broader sense, maybe.
Yeah, it's better than being a minor.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you want to look at it like that.
What were, until now, your greatest moments as a musician?
What about you, Niklas?
Well, playing generally, I would say moments where the music would happen really nicely in the first place. That is one very momentary thing, of course, which happened at a lot of our gigs, actually.
Yeah, I've had that a lot of times.
Yeah. For me, always I love the traveling bit. Really like the part of being together, like on the road in a car or going on a plane and going someplace. I don't know. Always like, for me, nice thing was being with a former band of mine, being in Israel and Palestine last year, for example, and like just the thought of being able to play music in places that, well, it's not that remote, right? You could get way further out, but still go there and have people appreciate the stuff, and then just have a nice little party around that. I don't know. It's that for me, it's just a nice thing. It's totally not dependent on, I don't know, in terms of audience size or something. I wouldn't say that. It's just like more of the. It's hard to put that in words, but just a general feeling of exaltation and well-being. I would say,
yeah,
which is always connected with music for me most of the times.
Yeah, maybe that's why people, like we were saying in the question before, get a little bit kind of jealous, or they have feelings against musicians because they have such a great life. I mean, you know. Yeah,
of course, we all have our demons in the sense of I can't free myself of those, especially the financial aspect of it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Somewhat, but still,
experience.
It's weighed up by that, right?
Yeah, that's the experience.
Yeah.
What are your current plans?
Well, now the thing is, I now have the band of my own, which I should show you. It just went public yesterday, actually. So, thing is, I'll be doing that, and this will probably be my main outlet, I guess, in a couple of months. I hope.
And you, Thomas?
Oh, my current plans. I have a new trio in London, and that's like kind of a focus. We're set to release something at the end of May, our debut album. So I'm just gonna, like, it's concentrating on that really. That's the new project for me. Yeah, and on European things. So.
And what can we expect from Illoyal?
I don't know, nothing. I think right now. I don't know. It's let's say it's on hold / not really happening anymore. I don't know. I just don't feel any necessity for that. Right? I don't know. It's let's say there's a lack of interest
at the moment.
Yeah, and really, I don't know. Maybe that's also a thing that I might put aside, just in the sense of maybe that's a ridiculous thing to say, but in a way, just maturing a little bit and not needing that anymore or something. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, guys, okay. thanks for taking the time. It was all.
Pleasure.
You are currently on tour.
Gotta hit the road just in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So have fun. Keep doing what you do.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And hope
Bye.
to see you soon.
Yeah.